So today's session, as Gayan was talking about, it would be completely on Microsoft security solutions. And my name is Kiran NR, and I'm a senior cloud solution architect based out of the Singapore. And then I cover APAC as a region, and that's one of the reasons why I know Gayan and his team in Sri Lanka. So I worked a lot with Gayan when he was working with one of the partners organization in Colombo. And with his request, I'm here today to present. So what we plan to do is today's session would be more on talking about Microsoft cybersecurity solutions. And then followed by, we will talk about more in detail about what are the other solutions we have as part of this, Microsoft cybersecurity. Okay. So for those of you, if you really want to connect with me, this is my LinkedIn profile. If you go to LinkedIn and then if you say search and then type my name, full name as Kiran Kumar NR, or if you follow this link, you can get connected. I do keep posting a lot of information on the security in LinkedIn. All right. So today's session would be completely on cybersecurity from Microsoft, right? So there is a perception in the market that Microsoft is not a cybersecurity company. And when we say which is the best cybersecurity company in the world, I know most of you would be telling, Symantec, McAfee, Palo Alto, FireEye, but you would never tell Microsoft. But I'm here today to change that. I really want to see, how many of you would say, yes, Microsoft is also a cybersecurity company at the end of my session. I'm going to ask you this question once again. Okay. Now to start this session, I'm going to do this for next 1 hour. So if you have any questions, use your chat messages and start posting your question. I may not be able to answer now, but then we have my team, Gayan and others will be able to take those questions and then answer as we go along. And then at the end of my session, if there is any time given to me, then probably I'll try and answer your questions. Okay. Now, what I'm going to present to you on this slide is Microsoft Cybersecurity Reference Architecture. Okay. Now, let me start the session by telling you that most of your organization today is something like this, right? So you have your intranet and extranet, and when we talk about intranet, you will have your Linux servers, your Windows servers, you have a lot of other virtual machines where you will run a lot of your applications, and then you have extranet where we call this today as a DMZ zone, where you will have your firewalls, your DLP solutions, your proxies, your intrusion prevention, intrusion detection kind of solutions to protect, right, your incoming, outgoing traffic. This is a typical traditional network. Now, to work typically as an employee, they would start using their devices. Today, we are in a mobile workforce kind of a situation where a lot of people are actually carrying a mobile device. So when I say mobile device, it may not be a phone, it can be a tablet, it can be a laptop, a device which can move along. That is what we call it as mobile device, right? And obviously iOS and Android devices also falls into the same category. Now, we have seen a lot of organizations today started allowing employees to bring their own device and then access the corporate applications. And now they also started giving laptops for senior management people. They usually get MacBooks and so on. So that means in an enterprise environment, you have devices which are managed and which are unmanaged, right? So the managed are the ones where your company gives a laptop or a device for you to work on. Unmanaged device is where it's a BYOD scenario, bring your own device scenario, where you bring, as an employee, you bring your own device and then still have access to your corporate application. Now it's an additional headache for IT department to manage these clients, these endpoints, because not only they have to manage the hundreds and thousands of devices which belongs to the organization, but they should also now start managing and protecting your corporate data on the unmanaged devices and mobile devices which are also accessing the corporate applications, right? Now, in a typical environment, you see like, in a large enterprise, big companies, they also have something called a security operations center. Now, this is where they will have a dedicated security analyst team where they do, events, a correlation, the log correlation. So basically, they have a SIEM kind of a solution, and they collect all the logs from your on-premises data centers, your servers, your endpoints, and then they start analyzing for threats. They start detecting if there are any threats are happening, if there is any targeted attack, is there an hacker inside. So they start doing all those stuff by going through the logs of your servers and the machines. So that's why we call that as security operations center. And as part of that, you have other scenarios where you do vulnerability management. You have to do incident management, because if there is an incident with critical alert telling like, one of the server is really down, or it is like using or consuming a lot of memory or processing power, that might be because probably some hacker would have injected a malicious code. Because of that, the server is acting strangely. It can be even a DDoS attack, right? So when that happens, they need to keep track of what, from where it happened, what is the server, how is it reacting. So they have to do an incident management. They have to open an incident and then keep monitoring all the activities, and then they start remediating the process, right? Now, slowly we have seen customers becoming more and more, interested in security solutions. So they started deploying endpoint DLP solutions. So every laptop and desktop today has a kind of DLP, data leak protection kind of solutions. And then slowly customers are also started, having active directories, or rather you started using identity and access management kind of a solutions, right? And then slowly, as the cloud became more and more famous, we have seen customers started moving onto the cloud. They started consuming the services like Office 365, Google Suite, Salesforce, Box, Google Dropbox, all this stuff. So 4 years back, customers were thinking, should I really move on to the cloud? Is cloud is really secure? But today, they are no longer thinking like that. In fact, they already started consuming a lot of these software as a service kind of applications. And as well as now we are in a position where a lot of these organizations, they have realized the benefits of cloud and how secure it is. They started moving their on-premises data centers, the servers, onto the cloud, because now they see that there is a lot of cost benefit also comes by moving onto the cloud, right? Now, with that, they are doing a lift and shift kind of a model. They are literally taking their application servers and then moving them onto Azure infrastructure, running it as a virtual machine. So we have seen that customers started moving towards consuming a lot of cloud-based applications services. Now, IoT is also started evolving. A lot of customers are also thinking and embracing IoT solutions. And today, as we speak, uh, there are customers, are almost like 50 to 60% of the customers are already on cloud, and they are actually moving on to the cloud. So for the customers who have an on-premises environment as well as a cloud environment, we call them as hybrid cloud infrastructure. Okay, so the organizations today, if you open up a new company today, you can actually be a completely cloud-only company. You don't need to have any kind of servers in your infrastructure, in your network, and you can actually use a lot of these cloud resources. You want email, you have Office 365. You want directory services, you have Azure Active Directory, right? You want applications, everything is available as cloud applications today. So why do you need a server? So a lot of these new companies who are born now are actually directly moving onto the cloud. So they are called as cloud only organizations. Now, the organizations who has been in the industry for more than like 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, who predominantly had on-premises infrastructure, now they actually started moving onto the cloud. So for those kind of companies who has some sort of cloud presence as well as on-premises, we call them as hybrid cloud infrastructure. So that is where a lot of majority of the customers are today, right? And they are they have on-premises data centers. They use third-party infrastructure as a service, which can be Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, Amazon Web Services, and so on, right? Now, Microsoft has actually invested a lot on security. If I have to tell you, from past 3 years, we have a commitment from our CEO, Satya Nadella, that every year we're going to invest 1 billion US dollars just on research and development purpose. So that's like a serious commitment from our CEO. And Microsoft, it's a very, very large company. We have like thousands of products and services, and investing just developing the cybersecurity solutions and investing $1 billion on a yearly basis is a huge commitment for cybersecurity space, right? So that's why today Microsoft is very, very strong. We are one of the strongest cybersecurity vendors in the market, but unfortunately, not many people are aware of it. And I'm here today to talk about what are those capabilities, why we call Microsoft as one of the strongest vendor in the market. Now, when customers are moving on to the cloud, right? Now, you also need a similar DMZ kind of an environment to protect your cloud, right? Because now what you're doing is you're literally moving your applications, your servers from your on-premises network to the cloud. So that means you're literally like, you're just putting up out there. That doesn't help you to become more secure. You have to take necessary actions. You have to take necessary control. So that is where you need the firewall solutions. You need security appliances. So there are a lot of solutions from Microsoft, especially to protect your cloud workloads. So whatever the servers you put on cloud, we call them as cloud workloads. Okay. So when you have we have seen typically a large organization have like thousands of virtual machines running on Azure infrastructure as a service. Now, protecting them becomes a very, very tedious task. So from Microsoft, we have invested in building these solutions like Azure Policy, Azure Key Vault, Azure WAF, anti-malware solutions, backup and site recoveries. You have DDoS attack mitigation. So there are a lot of Azure security solutions which are available today to protect your workloads, your cloud workloads, which are running on Azure infrastructure. As well as we also support, if you have some sort of virtual machines which are running on AWS or Google, you can still use solutions like Azure Security Center to protect them as well. Okay, so these are the pointers for you. So make note of all these solutions like Azure WAF, Azure Security Center, whatever I'm talking about, and that would really help. So if you go to Google or Bing and then do a search like what is Azure Policy or what is Azure Key Vault, that would be a good starter for you to learn more on Azure Security Solutions or any other solutions which I'm talking about here. Now, Microsoft, even though the cloud is becoming more prominent, Microsoft understands that there are still a lot of customers out there who are still running on-premises environment. So recently, we also released Windows Server 29. So we are investing heavily on on-premises server operating system as well. And one of the differentiator between Windows Server 2019 is that now we have built a lot of security solutions as part of the operating system. You don't need to install any kind of applications or agents to protect Windows Server 2019. It already has an antivirus, anti-malware, and ATP functionality, advanced threat protection kind of solutions already built into the operating system. All you need to do is just turn on, and then you will have a full-fledged antivirus, anti-malwares, and advanced threat protection kind of a service enabled automatically. Okay. Now, the same kind of investments we have also done on Windows 10. So if you have as users, right? So when you buy a laptop, your laptop comes with either Windows 10 Home Edition or Windows 10 Professional Edition, or we also have Windows 10 Enterprise Edition, which is basically used or sold for organizations to buy, right? So today, if you have a Windows 10 Professional running on your laptops, your home machines, you don't need a third-party antivirus solution. You don't need Symantec, McAfee, Trend, Kaspersky, these kind of antivirus. You can enable Windows Defender antivirus, anti-malware solution, and that's a full-fledged antivirus. So my laptop, and there are about 200,000 laptops across my in Microsoft organization, because we are more than 140, 150,000 employees. All our laptops are actually running on Defender antivirus and ATP solutions. We are not using any kind of third party. It is very, very strong. And if you go to Gartner's Magic Quadrant report 2019, which was released in September, they have actually said that Microsoft is a leader in the endpoint protection solution. Okay, we are the number one today. We are better than CrowdStrike. We are better than Symantec. We are better than Kaspersky and Trend Micro antivirus solutions. And now when you have Windows 10 Professional, it comes free for you, right? So you can actually do a Google search and then you will know more about it. If you are running Windows 10 Professional with any kind of antivirus solution, I would highly recommend you can uninstall them. You don't need to pay licenses for it. You don't need to run a pirated version on it. You can typically start using the Defender antivirus. Okay. And not only that, now with enterprise, especially for organizations, we have actually built a lot of these security solutions as well. So it has got something like exploit guard, credential guard, application guard. We have full disk encryption, BitLocker. Most of you might be aware of it. So BitLocker is also part of an operating system. We have application control, which actually does applications whitelisting and blacklisting. And we also have behavior monitoring on the Defender security suite, right? So do more Google or Bing search, or you get hold of Guyan and then ask him to do more sessions on these. These are very, very useful, very, very strong solutions which can actually help your PCs, your laptops, your organization's endpoint devices. Now, we also have Defender ATP. Now, Defender ATP, again, as I was talking about, this is advanced threat protection kind of a solution with the EDR capability, endpoint detection and response. And it also has threat management and vulnerability. It also has automated investigation and remediation capability, right? So today, Windows Defender ATP is the number one ATP solution in the market. And for that, all you need to do is you don't need to install any kind of an agent. If you just turn on the service, Defender ATP service, using a group policy or using Intune, or even manually or using PowerShell script, you can just activate it, and then you can actually protect the endpoints. And to manage all your mobile devices, endpoints, including Mac, iOS and Android and Windows, we have a solution called Intune, which is MDM, mobile device management, mobile application management, And also it is called as endpoint management. Okay, so today if you have to manage all your multiple platform devices like iOS and Android, Mac and Windows, you can just use Intune because now it has got the capability to do device management across all these platforms. It can actually do software delivery. It can do patch management. It can do software hardware inventory. It has got a lot of other capabilities as an endpoint management solution. Okay. Now, we also started investing on solutions like privileged access workstation. This is used highly for administrators to do a lot of configurations in your network. We also have solutions like Azure ATP, which can actually help protect your entire network from lateral movements, from advanced attacks, and so on. And then we have within Azure Active Directory, which is our cloud-based directory services. With Azure Active Directory, we have come out with a lot of other solutions like identity protection. We have Azure AD, privileged identity management. We have multi-factor authentication. We have B2B, business to business, business to customers, Hello for Business. So there are a lot of security solutions we have developed as part of identity and access management. Then we have this innovative solution called conditional access. Now, conditional access is very, very unique. I don't think there is any other security vendor in the market who has this kind of capability today. Okay, so make a note of conditional access and try to do a Google search telling what is Microsoft conditional access. Okay, and then you will get more and more information. Now, it is now today because you have customers who are actually in a hybrid cloud environment, right? So they run a hybrid cloud infrastructure. Your DMZ zone or your network perimeter becomes irrelevant, right? Because now you have users who are mobile workforce who keeps working outside your network. Now, when they come into inside your office, that is where 5 years or 10 years ago, users used to be. They every day they come inside the office, open their machines, and then work. And then when they finish their work, they just go back because those days we were using only desktops. Now, when the laptops come in, if you have to work from home, we started using VPN solutions to connect from home to your corporate network and then access your applications, right? But now with software as a service coming in, and Office 365 is the number one software as a service in the world, a lot of companies are actually moving from Exchange servers to Office 365, right? Now, when they move to Office 365, your employees or you as a user, you can actually log in to your email inbox from anywhere. You don't need to come inside your office. You don't need to do a VPN connection, right? So you can basically open a browser because you as a user knows your username and password. You just go to outlook.office365.com and then you just type your username and password and then access your corporate emails over there. It's as simple as that. That is what the cloud power is. That is what the mobile power is, because now you are mobile. You don't need to come to office all the time. And with the power of cloud, you are able to access from anywhere, from any device, right? Now, when that happens, conditional access becomes your perimeter management. Now, you don't have a network perimeter anymore because your users are not coming inside office on a day-to-day basis. Now, how do you ensure they are protected when they are working from home, from hotel, from cyber cafe, from airports, and connecting to your office applications, corporate applications, right? IT needs to know what's happening, who is connecting, from where is he connecting, from which device is he connecting, is that device compromised? Does that device has a lot of viruses in it? If there is a virus in it, then we should not allow to run your corporate applications on it, right? So there are a lot of questions comes in, and today IT do not have an answer to it. So from Microsoft, the answer is conditional access. Now, the first strategy when you have a customer or you as a customer, when you're moving on to the hybrid cloud infrastructure, The first strategy, the security strategy should be to protect your identities. Because if an identity gets compromised, if I'm an hacker and if I hack my good friend's Gayan's username and password, even though I'm in Singapore, I can still log into Gayan's Office 365 inbox and then I can access it, right? So, and IT don't even know what's happening and who is accessing. So identity protection becomes your first strategy in a hybrid cloud infrastructure. You should start protecting from username and passwords. Then your second strategy should be to protect your organization's data, okay, which is running on premises as well as in cloud applications. The third strategy should be your threat protection, right? That is when you start controlling or protecting your devices from all the threats which are happening, like ransomware attacks, Trojan viruses, malwares, phishing attacks, spam attacks, spear phishing attacks, URL poisoning. There are different types of attacks today hackers, bad guys are using out there. So threat protection should be your third strategy. Okay. So from identity perspective, we have this innovative solution called conditional access. With that, you can actually start protecting your identities no matter where your users are working from, on which device. Okay. So we're going to talk more in detail about conditional access. Now, uh, we also have a Graph Security API, which can actually integrate all the solutions. What you're talking about can actually integrate to your SOC environment. If you have a SOC, you can stream alerts from Intune, from Defender ATP, from Windows 10, from Server 2019, from your Azure infrastructure, from Office 365. All these alerts you can actually stream into SOC, and then you have one unified dashboard telling about all the threats and attacks which are happening in your environment. Okay. Then we have a lot of other solutions from Microsoft like CASB, Azure Security Center, Microsoft Defender ATP, Office 365 ATP, which can actually uh, get inside your SOC environment, and then you as a SOC analyst, you can actually start collecting the logs from all these solutions and then start doing threat hunting, threat exploration, correlation, automation. You can actually do a lot of stuff there. Then we have Office to protect your Office 365 environment. We have a lot of security solutions like Office 365 DLP, data governance, e-discovery. Then we also have Azure Information Protection Solution, which can actually classify and data, label your files, and it's a file level protection. Now with AIP, you actually don't need an endpoint DLP. You can actually take out your endpoint DLP agent and then start using AIP because it's a file level protection, and the protection actually starts uh, or travels wherever the file goes. So if you have sent a file to one of your user who is like doesn't even belong to your organization, you have shared a file, you can actually track what happened to that file, and then if you want to revoke access, you can also revoke access from him. So once you revoke access, he will have the file with him, but he cannot do anything. He cannot open the file, he cannot double click because you have revoked the access. It will not open for him, and because it is encrypted with 256-bit AES standards, so you cannot run any other tool to decrypt or to open the document. Okay, so that's AIP for you. So we will discuss more about this when we do an information protection the session. Okay, then we have cloud app security and all those stuff. Then we have bunch of other solutions where Microsoft has actually invested with Azure SQL threat detections, Azure SQL protection, and so on, right? So if you look at it, this is what Microsoft cybersecurity reference architecture is. Okay, so we have so many solutions today which can actually help you in your organization. Now, one of the beauty of this solution is all this solution has got the out-of-the-box integration, and that is a biggest differentiator of, from Microsoft to any other security vendor in the market. an identity solution. So what you're seeing here is every dotted line or every line what we're talking about talks about how it integrates with each other solution. How does it exchange information? How does it pass on the signals to each other? Okay. So one example I can give you is you can actually see that Defender ATP here has got a direct integration with Intune, and then it also got a direct integration with conditional access. And conditional access is the one which will decide whether to allow access to your corporate applications, to your on-premises applications or not. Okay. So let's say, for example, if Defender ATP detects somebody, comes out with a USB stick, and then they have a lot of files in it, and then it also has some malicious files in it. Okay, they come and then they plug into their laptop, and then Defender ATP detects it, automatically scans a USB, and even before you do a copy and paste from your USB to a C drive or a D drive, Defender ATP will scan, and then it will try to detect if there are any malwares in it. If it detects that there is a malware in it, a Trojan virus or some kind of threat, it will immediately pass on a signal to conditional access telling that, I have detected a threat on this particular laptop and I'm still remediating it. Okay, I'm trying to do an investigation and then try to remediate it myself. Now, the moment it receives this information, conditional access identifies that this particular laptop is risky because there is a threat found on it and Defender ATP is still working on it. So that means the device is still not clean. So it will automatically block access to all corporate applications like Office 365, Google Suite, Salesforce, or even for on-premises applications. Okay, so there won't be any access until unless Defender ATP sends a signal back to conditional access telling that now I have remediated it, I have cleaned the system. Now the system is clean, it is good to go. Until unless it gets a signal that system is clean, conditional access will not allow the system to access any kind of corporate applications. Okay, so this is the level of integration we are talking about. So there are a lot of other integration scenarios where if an Office 365 ATP catches any kind of phishing emails, malicious attachment, it will automatically send a signal back to Defender ATP telling, I have blocked so and so attachment or a file. The file is PDF file and it has malicious attachment. This is the details or a pattern of the file. And Defender ATP has got that information and it will automatically scan the entire network to find out if that particular pattern or a file is already existed in your network. If it is existed, it will automatically scan, quarantine, or clean, or block, or delete. It will take the necessary action. And all these things happens automatically without any human intervention. Okay. Now, similar way, if a Defender ATP catches any threat, it will pass on a signal back to Office 365 ATP and Office 365 ATP. If the same email or a file or a pattern is coming in from an internet to one of your users' inbox, Office 365 ATP will block it then and there itself. Okay, so there is a lot of out-of-the-box integration available with these solutions, and every single line, dotted line, is basically talking about some sort of information and integration story here. Now, what I want you guys to do is, if you go to this particular URL, aka.ms/MCRA, MCRA is Microsoft Cybersecurity Reference Architecture. Okay, you can actually download this entire slide, and then there is a video recording. And Microsoft engineering team, cybersecurity engineering team, has recorded a video, and then they talk about every piece what I just explained to you in more detail, in more depth information. So I would highly recommend you guys to download from this particular URL, download the link, and then go through the video recording, and that will tell you a lot about Microsoft cybersecurity capabilities. Now, I almost spent 40 minutes on this one slide, but then there is a lot to cover. So let me move on. and then talk about what is conditional access. We spoke about a lot on conditional access, right? Now, with Microsoft, you can actually create a policies based on users, okay, devices, location, and application. Now, with conditional access, we have a machine learning capability. So the solution basically has a machine learning and it learns about the users every time when they try to log in or access. Okay. And then we also have policies. This is where the policies, using the policies, you create the conditions. And then we also have a real-time evaluation engine. So real-time evaluation engine, basically what it does is it's a zero trust. Okay. So when I say zero trust, we don't trust any user, any device, any location accessing the applications, no matter they are coming from a trusted zone, trusted IP, or like, working from remote or coming in from a different country. Uh, we don't care. We verify every single time when they are trying to access an application. And based on the verification, there is a session risk, low, medium, and high. If the session risk is low, then you can do a necessary control, whether to allow or block it, right? And to access, your Microsoft cloud-based applications or any other third-party cloud applications or even your on-premises applications. Now, let us take it as a scenario. Now, you have the policies and you have these conditions enabled, right? Now, let's take a user called Dilan. He is my next presenter after my session. I don't know if I can give him enough time to present his topic, but then we have a user called Dilan, and Dilan is a username. Dilan at I don't know. He works in sanjay.com, so that's his email ID. So Dilan at sanjay.com, and then he knows his password. And then typically the device he accesses, he has a laptop, which is a HP laptop, and it has a Windows 10 professional operating system running on it. Okay. And then the location is typically from Colombo because his office is in Sri Lanka and he works typically from Colombo as his physical location. And the application, what he accesses on a day-to-day basis is Office 365, maybe Salesforce, maybe Google Drive or a Dropbox, and few other applications. And then there are some on-premises applications. Okay, this is his typical day-to-day behavior. Now, let's say all of a sudden, when he tries to log in on a day-to-day basis, machine learning knows that identity Dylan typically comes from a HP laptop with Windows 10 professional operating system on it. And the location is typically, I've seen him logging in from Colombo and within Colombo, different parts of Colombo, different areas. And the applications, what he accesses is like there are about 5 or 10 applications on a day-to-day basis is what is accessing it. Okay. Now, that is what machine learning learns about Dylan and then it stores those information. Now, when Dylan tries to access, and if all these 4 conditions are matching, then machine learning knows that, like, okay, all the conditions are matching, and real-time evaluation engine also knows that, okay, these conditions are matching. The session risk for this particular application access, what Dylan is trying to access, is low because there are no condition changes. So his access will be seamless. He will be directly provided access to whatever the application is accessing, either Office 365 or Google Drive or maybe on-premises application, doesn't matter. Now, let's say I'm a hacker and then now I have compromised his identity. Now I have his username and password. Now, username is still same because I know his username and password, but the device is different. I use a Surface device and I have a Windows 10 Enterprise operating system on my laptop. And the location is, I am basically coming in from Singapore. Okay. And application is I'm trying to access, email of Dylan, right? So I'm trying to access his inbox. So now what's happening is out of these four conditions, okay, two conditions are not matching. One is the device condition because now Dylan uses HP with Windows 10 Professional. I'm using Surface with Windows 10 Enterprise. And location is I'm coming in from Singapore, right? So, so two conditions are not matching. So real-time evaluation engine basically moves my session risk to high, and I would be immediately challenged with multi-factor authentication. So there will be an OTP sent based on the configuration I've done, and then the OTP will be coming into Dylan's mobile, and I don't have access to Dylan's mobile, right? So, so my access would be blocked. Okay. So that's how the conditional access works. So it basically verifies all this stuff. Only if all the conditions are matched, he would be allowed. Now, for example, let's take another scenario where Dylan is a laptop actually not working for some reason. And then he opens his home machine. Okay, he logs in from his home device, home laptop, which is a Dell laptop, and or it is a MacBook. Okay, he has a MacBook and then he logs in from a MacBook. Now he opens the MacBook and then opens a browser and then types outlook.office365.com, and then identity is same, but the device is different, location is still Colombo, and application is Office 365. So real-time evaluation engine knows that one condition is not matching, and when he's trying to log in, it will immediately challenge him with multi-factor authentication. Okay, and now because it's Dylan, Dylan is a original user, right? So he will get the OTP and then he will clear the MFA challenge, multi-factor authentication challenge. And once he clears the challenge, once he successfully signs into MFA, his access is allowed for the application. In this case, it is Office 365. Now, because the device is not trusted, and it is not even domain joined, right? It is not my domain joined machine. It is a MacBook, and I'm not seeing this connection, this device accessing a corporate resource before. The session would be limited. Okay, when I say limited, he will still have access to the application with a limited access. That means he can access and then send and receive emails in his inbox, but he cannot download any attachments onto that MacBook. His access would be limited. When he tries to download any kind of attachment, it will be limited. It will be blocked for him. And I can also set a policy where I can disable copy and paste. So when he is coming in from an untrusted device, a new device, which is not a corporate domain joined, copy and paste should be disabled. So he cannot copy from his Office 365 email and then paste it to his Gmail or Yahoo or even any other personal application on the same MacBook. Okay, so we basically do these kind of controls as well using conditional access. And in case if we see two or three conditions are not matching, and then if he is not able to clear the MFA challenge, then we know that it's a clear suspicious activity. Somebody else is trying to log into Dylan's account. Dylan's password might have been compromised. So we will block his access and we will immediately force the password reset. So next time when the original Dylan is trying to access, we will ask him to reset his password because we would have detected the suspicious activity. Okay, so this is how the conditional access works, and we also call this as a zero trust technology. Okay, so if you do a Google search on what is zero trust, you might be able to know more information, and you can actually do a search on Microsoft conditional access with zero trust. Okay. Now, another scenario, what I wanted to discuss is about the Windows 10. Windows 10 Enterprise today is considered to be the most secure operating system. Okay. Now, you all know there was a ransomware called Petya, which was released in 2017, sometime in June or July. And do you know when Petya was released? WannaCry, right? So WannaCry was released in April, and within 3 months time frame, Petya was released. When WannaCry was released, it did a economic loss of close to 5 billion US dollars. So that's the kind of money people have lost overall worldwide with WannaCry. When Petya was released, it didn't make so much money, but it did make economic loss of close to 1.4 billion dollars. Okay, the reason is WannaCry was created to make more money. Petya was created to do more destruction. Okay, now when Petya released, it had a multiple capability, and in no time, it was actually when Petya ransomware was infected on your machines. Immediately, it used to modify the MBR so that when the mission is restarted, it will not allow you to boot in. Rather than it will put a message telling your machine is encrypted, and now for you to decrypt, or if you want a recovery key, you have to go and do a Bitcoin payment on this particular address. Okay, so that's how they used to make more money. But when Petya was infected on your device, the first thing it used to do was it used to do an MBR modification, and then it used to do SMB exploit, and then do credential theft. It had the capability to steal username and passwords on the local machines, and then it also had capability to scan the entire device and network, and then do a lateral movement, and then infect more and more machines, and then it also had the capability to do a file encryption. Now, when Petya was released, Windows 10 was the operating system which was not impacted, or it was not infected by these Petya. You can actually do more research on the internet. You will find it. The reason being, one, Windows 10 was uh, created keeping security in mind. And second thing is, we have a lot of built-in solutions like Device Guard, which would actually protect all the software downloads which are malicious in nature. Then we have something called a secure boot. When you enable secure boot, it knows what is the services, what is the memory, what are the files it needs for a Windows 10 operating system to boot. Okay, at the booting phase, bootloaders. So it would only allow only those services, those files to get into the booting or a loading process. Anything outside that, it would block it. So when you have secure boot enabled, and if you have a ransomware kind of an attack, it cannot modify your MBR because secure boot would have stopped ransomware to modify or even touch the boot loading process. Okay. Then we have other solutions like Windows 10 kernel hardening. We have credential guard, which will stop from stealing the username and passwords. We have device guards, which would actually stop hacker from doing a lateral movement inside the network. So that is one of the reasons why we recommend you to start using more and more Windows 10, especially in an organization. You should start using Enterprise Edition and then enable all these solutions which are part of the operating system. Okay. We also have control folder access for stopping the ransomware to do file encryptions. Now we have so many solutions and so many technologies in place, right? We need an intelligence to block or to tell a solution what is right and what is wrong, right? I mean, how does Office 365 ATP knows it's a malicious file, right? How does Windows Defender know it's a virus? It's suspicious. It has a malicious code in it, right? There should be some sort of intelligence coming in. Now, I want you guys to make a note of this particular name called Microsoft Intelligent Security Graph, and do some Google search. Okay. Now, let me explain what is this Intelligent Security Graph is all about. Now, Microsoft is been in the industry for more than four 4 decades now, right? In these 4 decades, we have released so many products and solutions. And today, if you look at it, Microsoft has more than 200 plus cloud-based consumer and commercial services offered to our customers worldwide. Okay, so the first commercial consumer services which we released was hotmail.com, which is our email service, right? So from there, we went on in offering more and more services. Today we have about 200 plus. I can only name about 20 or 30, but there are more than 200 plus services, cloud-based services today. So Outlook.com, Xbox.com, Bing.com, Office365.com, Azure.com, Dynamics.com, right? So like that, we have like more than 200 plus solutions. So with Intelligent Security Graph, we have actually connected all those solutions. Okay, and we started calling it as Intelligent Security Graph. Now with that, what we have is we now have the capability to know what is happening in the internet. Now, with using our Office 365, Exchange, and Outlook.com services, today Microsoft is in a position to analyze 470 billion emails on a monthly basis. This is a huge analysis. And think about the intelligence we get by doing this analysis. Now we know which emails are spam, which emails have malicious, which emails have phishing attacks, which emails are coming in from bad IP zone, which is coming in from hacker zone, from a botnet. There are a lot of analysis goes through this. And whatever we learn from these analysis, from these insights, we feed those intelligence back to Office 365 ATP solution, Exchange Online Protection solution, so that when these kind of spam emails or phishing emails are coming into you, one of your Office 365 tenant, and then if you have Office 365 ATP and Exchange Online Protection, it will automatically block them. It will not even allow them to deliver to your user's inbox. Okay. Similarly, using our Bing.com service, today we scan close to 18 billion web pages on a monthly basis. So we know which URLs are malicious, suspicious. Okay, which web pages are malicious, hosted in bad IP zone. Okay, we have all those intelligence, and when we analyze, when we know there are thousands of websites are created today on a daily basis, and within those websites there are web pages which are malicious. The website looks clean, but when you actually go to a particular web page and then try to download something, that will have a malicious code in it, right? So we actually scan those kind of web pages, and 18 billion is what we do on a monthly basis. And when we identify these web pages are malicious, we feed those intelligence back to Office 365 ATP safe links. This is a feature where we protect the links, all the URLs, the web links which you get it on in an email. And then if it is there in a document, or if you go to a particular URL using your browser like IE Edge, in IE Edge, we have a smart screen filter. Using the smart screen filter, we feed the intelligence to smart screen filter, and smart screen filter knows which websites are clean, which web pages are clean, malicious, and all those stuff. And when you use IE Edge, smart screen filter will protect you from browsing bad web pages, malicious web pages. Okay. Now, we also analyze close to 630 billion authentications using Azure.com and Office 365.com. So we know how users are using Office 365 and Azure services, how they are logging in, from where they are logging in. And this is where, we scan, and then we know if there is identity compromise happens. And if Dylan's identity is been logging in from Australia, right? We know that, like, it's an impossible travel profile. How can a Dylan at the same time can log in from Sri Lanka as well as from Australia? That means there is some suspicious. So we feed these intelligence back to conditional access, telling the location is not Sri Lanka, it is actually coming in from Australia. So conditional access, Azure Identity Protection, Azure Identity and Access Management Solutions gets intelligence from Intelligent Security Graph, telling, like, the connections which are coming in is actually suspicious. Okay, so we feed, and these numbers, I don't think there is any other security vendor companies in the market who can actually even come closer to these numbers. Today, Microsoft's artificial intelligence and machine learning is actually trained against 6.5 trillion threat signals on a daily basis. This is machine learning, threat signals which are trained on our platform. Okay, so that's huge, huge, huge. So we know what's happening on the internet. We have the intelligence to detect if there is a new malware comes on the internet. If we detect a new malware in Outlook.com in one of your Hotmail inbox, we will make sure that malware or a phishing mail will not be delivered to one of your Office 365 tenants. We will block it then and there itself. And then we will also pass those intelligence back to Office 365 ATP solution. So if you have Office 365 ATP, it would automatically get feeders, information, signals from Intelligent Security Graph that we have detected so many new malwares today, and this is the malware information, and those solutions will stop blocking them. If there are any new attacks are happening, phishing attacks, denial of services, user logins, impossible travel profiles, spam contents, we have the intelligence to detect it, and we will make sure we are blocking them, and we are also feeding those intelligence back to our solutions. Let me stop here, and then I have a question for Gayan. Gayan, I think I need another 20-25 minutes. Is that okay?
No, no issue, Kiran. You can take the. Actually, we have planned 8 to 10 o'clock, so you can
Okay.
take at 10:30. That's okay.
Okay. I think we will not have
Okay.
any other session for today. Let me continue and then see.
Yeah,
Uh,
Kiran, we can arrange
yeah.
it without any fear. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. All right. Let's move on. So with Microsoft, what we are doing is we are actually building an integrated security experience. And you have just heard about intelligent security graph, right? Now, we also have a lot of other teams within Microsoft. So we have a team called Cyber Defense Operations Center. Now, this is a team where it has close to 3,500 employees in this team. And the job of this team is to protect Microsoft own network. They should protect our own network. Microsoft is a big company. We have close to 150,000 employees, and then we have offices in 180 countries, right? It's a huge, huge network. And uh, you may not be knowing, the in the world, the first organization which is attacked most is the US Department of Defense. Okay, that's the first organization which is attacked most in the entire world. And the second one is Microsoft. Everybody wants to attack Microsoft. Everybody wants to, compromise Microsoft network. So we have a team, Cyber Defense Operations Center, who would actually defend all these attacks, who are responsible to protect the entire Microsoft network. Okay, while they protect and defend from all these attacks, advanced attacks from hackers, from botnets, whatever the learning they gain out of this, the experience what they get it, they give those information back to our solutions. They feed those intelligence, those data back to our solutions, so that our solutions, our products will become more stronger day by day. If there is a unique new type of attack has been detected, those uh, information, the Cyber Defense Operations Center will give it back to the engineering team, and engineering team will develop an update or a feature so that those new type of attacks cannot be experimented if you have Office 365 ATP or Defender ATP or AIP or CASB or any other solution. Okay, so that's a job of Defense Operations Center. We also have Digital Crimes Unit. So what this team does is, this team job is to work with the local law enforcement agencies of each country. So basically what it means is, we have this DCU team where they work with Sri Lanka Cyber Police or Cybercrime Department. And then if we know that there is a botnet or there is a malware threat or a family which is very, very active in Sri Lanka, and it is creating a lot of damages for customers, for government, for public, then the Microsoft Digital Crimes Unit team will actually work with Sri Lanka's law enforcement agency like Cyber Police, Cybercrime team to bring down the botnet network, to bring down the malware threats. Okay, and if you actually do a Google search, we have actually worked with a lot of law enforcement agencies, and we also worked with a lot of other cyber security companies like FireEye, Symantec, and we until today we have brought down world's 15 strongest botnet networks, botnets. Okay, so you can actually do a Google search, and then you will find that how Microsoft worked with other cybersecurity companies to bring down the world's toughest botnet networks. So when they do that, whatever the learnings we have it from them, this particular team will feed it back to our engineering team to make our solutions more stronger. We have security response center. They deal with incidents, and then when there is a new incident or a threat detected, they open up a ticket. They go through the investigation, and during the investigation, if there are any learnings, those learnings are feeded back to our products and solutions. We also have a cyber hunting teams, a red team and blue team. So these are like, red team is basically hackers, professional hackers, where we hire professional hackers from the industry. And, they are Microsoft employees. And their job is to basically attack Microsoft network. Okay, so they nobody knows that they are hackers. They will be working like sales guys, technical guys, SSPs and all those stuff. But then they are also hackers. They start hacking the Microsoft network, and we also have a blue team where they try to defend these attacks internally. Okay, so during this process, if a red team was able to successfully compromise a particular network, or compromise some applications or network or identities, how did they compromise? What is the techniques they used? They're going to give all the stuff as a learning experience, and we will make sure those attacks, those techniques will not be successful on our solutions going forward. So we will make sure our solutions are more stronger. So we also do those kind of activities within Microsoft. And today, Microsoft's Malware Protection Center is the world's largest malware database. Microsoft is the world's largest malware database company. It used to be Symantec before, but now with intelligent security graph, you have seen that the numbers itself speaks. We speak in billions, right? Billion and trillions. So with those intelligence coming in, today we hold the world's largest malware database. With that, we have the world's best malware protection capability. Okay. Now, with all these learnings from different teams and with intelligent security graph, Some capabilities are released as Windows updates or feeded into solutions like Smart Screen Filter or malware protection services. And and some of the important functionalities are developed as features or products or the solutions, and then under these solutions like conditional access or cloud app security or Office 365 ATP and so on, which would effectively ultimately all these capabilities should protect your organization's key assets like your identities, protecting your username and passwords, apps and data, your infrastructure, as well as your endpoints, your devices, right? So this is how we are actually building a strong integrated security experience. Now, this is one video I wanted to show you. This is from a digital crimes unit. This video is basically talks about the Microsoft capability where today we can actually zoom into a particular country, particular city, and then identify which malware family is very, very active. Okay. So this video we have created, it's a video where we have created for APAC. So if you look at for APAC, you can actually see that we don't have it for Colombo, but then we have it for important cities like Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Jakarta, Bangkok, and all those stuff. So in Singapore, these are the malware family. So you can actually search what is B106. You will know that it is one of the deadliest or one of the strong malware families today we have. And from Singapore, we have close to 1.5 million connections to this particular malware's the command and control center. Okay. Now, similarly, if you go to Jakarta, so this is Jakarta, and you can actually see that in Jakarta, almost 85 million connections are for B106 malware. That means there are about 85 million connections, devices which are infected with B106 malware, and it is continuously connecting to B106 command and control center. This is for Kuala Lumpur. And then we also have it for Bangkok for similar numbers. So when this happens, the Microsoft Digital Crimes Unit, the DCU team, actually works with the local law enforcement team to bring down these botnet networks, to bring down the malware families. So this is the new capability we have with Microsoft. Today, we can actually do on a real time. We can actually zoom into any country, any city, and then find out which malware are more active in those countries. Okay, so that's about Digital Crimes Unit. And then this basically talks about how complicated the security market is today. You have so many solutions available. Uh, Almost every solution is very unique, very strong in their own space. But then uh, what we have seen is there are companies, if you are an organization with like 2,000, 3,000 employee based, we have seen like you would be using at least 20 to 30 different cybersecurity solutions in your environment. You will have a security solution, something related to your endpoint security, something to do with application security, messaging, web, mobile security, data security, cloud security, threat intelligence, IoT security, infrastructure security, and so on, right? Now think about it. When you are running so many different solutions from different vendors, and if they don't talk to each other, if they don't exchange information to each other, uh, you know, how will you find out what is happening? I mean, you can't go. I mean, if you have a endpoint security from McAfee, and then if you have a cloud security from BitGlass, there is absolutely no integration with these two solutions. Somebody has to manually create an integration, right? Now, that is an investment and an effort for an organization. They have to pay a developer to build an integration between endpoint security to a cloud security, right? And what if there is a new version of endpoint security comes out? If McAfee comes out with a new version, then the integration breaks. Then somebody has to rebuild an integration, right? Now think about the same effort. if you have like 20 different solutions, you need to create a lot of API integrations to get to speak to make these solutions speak to one another, and then you also to get a unified, holistic dashboard, right? Now, if you take this slide to my first slide, which is cybersecurity reference architecture, we have almost like 70 to 80% of these solutions. We already have it with us, and it has a out of the box integration. You don't need to build any kind of integration. You don't need to connect to APIs. You just need to tell a checkbox telling talk to Cloud App Security. Defender ATP and Cloud App Security should talk to each other. Just as checkbox, and then those two solutions can exchange information. It is that simple and easy with Microsoft. Now, these are the four pillars what we have. We have identity and access management, which is completely related to protecting your identities. Within this solution, we have a single sign-on, we have multi-factor authentication, we have conditional access. All the solutions comes under identity and access management. With threat protection, we have Defender ATP, Office 365 ATP. We have ATA, Advanced Threat Analytics. We have Threat Intelligence, and so on. With information protection, we have again Office 365 DLP, AIP, Cloud App Security, Intune. All these solutions come under this particular pillar. From a security management perspective, to protect your cloud workloads, we have Azure Security Center, we have Office 365 Security Center, and we also have Defender Security Center. Okay, so these are the four pillars. So what we have planned is basically based on my availability going forward, I will come back and then I will try and do session completely on identity and access management solutions. And then probably one of the second week we can do threat protection, a session on threat protection and a session on information protection, and we can actually talk about all these solutions, and I can also show you some demos. Okay. Now, few use case scenarios. How can Microsoft solutions help you in different ways, right? One of the major asks from a lot of organizations today is, and today we are in COVID-19, Corona, right? And everybody is working from home. Now, when you are working from home, right, you need, for you to remain productive, you need access to your applications, right? Even though you're working from home, now it's your organization's job to provide an access to all the applications which you need to work on a day-to-day basis, right? And those application access has to be more secure. If it is not secure, then there is a risk of compromise, there's a risk of data leak and all those stuff, right? Now, in order to make it more secure, a lot of organizations, the IT team, what they're doing is they are enforcing too many security policies. When they enforce too much of security policies, it becomes very, very tough for a user to work from home. Rather than that, you would think it's either he will stop working or he will say, I cannot work when I have so much of security policies enforced on me, on my device. It's okay for me to come to office and then work, right? So he may not use any of your solutions. Rather, you would prefer to come to office and then work, because within the office network, there won't be much restrictions, much security policies, right? Now, if you don't take care of security, but if you just provide them access to all the applications, no matter what device they come in from, there is a huge risk of attacks, compromisations, and data leak and all those stuff, right? So there should be a fine balance between security and productivity. You should have all the right policies in place. At the same time, you should make sure your users are also productive. They have access to all the applications, and the security is also taken care. So that is where solutions like conditional access comes into play. And based on the conditions, if all the conditions are matching, there is not even a MFA challenge. He will get a seamless access to applications. Only if something changes, then he will be questioned and he will be asked to go through a MFA challenge. So that is a fantastic scenario or a solution which you can use in today's corona or COVID-19 crisis. Now, how do you make sure you provide a secure, productive enterprise? How do you make sure you provide the balance between security and productivity, right? Now, if you have a company device, a lot of customers are asking, like, how do I make sure I protect my organization's data? I want to make sure there is a data separation between corporate and personal. Okay. I want to make sure, I want to tell my users that the data or the file which they are creating in Excel or Word is related to my corporate and it's a confidential data. It is having a more sensitive information, right? There should be some way to tell the users when they are creating a document in their laptops, right? And then if they had a lot of your customers, credit card information in a document, that is confidential, right? And then if you don't protect those data, an user who created the document, you can easily attach the document and then send it to somebody else inside or outside your organization. And if it goes to outside the organization, and if that person leaks to somebody else, or if that person uses the credit card information for his own purpose for shopping or whatever, then it's like a data breach, right? It's like compromising. So they want to make sure, like, the classify a document telling it is confidential, it is sensitive, and so on. And because it's a company device, they want to make sure, you have, as an IT, you have complete control over device. You can install whatever applications you want, and then you can monitor the device. You can do a software hardware inventory, and then allow only the applications to run on those devices, right? If it's a managed device or a BYOD device, this is where today's situation is. A lot of customers are allowing BYOD devices to access corporate applications. Uh, when it is a BYOD device, the user may not allow you to manage the device. He will not allow you to install any kind of policies, but still he wants to access your corporate applications. Now, in those devices, how do you do a data separation? How do you protect the data? How do you ensure that the data, what they are you're playing around with it, is sensitive in nature, it is confidential in nature, right? And how do you make sure you don't manage the device, but provide access to all the applications more securely and protect the corporate data, right? So we have these solutions from Microsoft which can actually help you achieve that. And then irrespective of what device they come from, company device or a BYOD device, your job as an IT is to only provide access to applications in a secure form, right? Then we have solutions like Intune, and then Intune app protection, conditional access, where you can actually provide access to all the applications more securely. Ultimately, no matter whether it's a device, company device, or a BYOD device, or just managing applications, using the Microsoft solutions, you can actually achieve a fine balance between security and productivity. And we have analytics to detect if there are any suspicious activities, if there are any compromise or data leak. We can detect those and then we can respond in time. Okay. So these are the solutions which would actually come in place to achieve this for you and your organization. Okay. Now let's talk about from an attack perspective. Now, you might be knowing about targeted attack, right? So targeted attack means hackers are wantingly, they target a particular company to hack, right? For that, what they do is, like, it's very easy for them to find out who are the employees who are working in a particular organization. If they go to a LinkedIn, they easily get all the employees who are working for an organization, right? So there they can decide whom to attack, whom to send a phishing email. So what they do is, like, they select about 50 or 100 users, and then they create a phishing attack email, and then they send it to all those 100 users. When they send it, attackers' success rate is only 1%, because out of 100 people, if one person opens the attachment, that's enough for an hacker, because easily he can compromise that user identity and device and then gain access to your corporate network, right? But for an IT like you have to protect all those 100 users. That is the more toughest job, right? So let's say an hacker is trying to attack a company, and then he sent out a phishing attack emails to 100 users, and then he has compromised the user identities. Now, the next step for a hacker to do is to gain access to the device so that he can install more malicious applications and codes, and he can also connect that particular device to his command and control center so that he can connect whenever he wants to that particular machine. So for that, he needs a privileged access. He needs a local admin rights. So it's very easy for him to, once he is there inside a machine, it's very easy for him to know who are the admin privileged users on the machine, and then he can actually perform pass the hash or pass the key kind of advanced attacks to gain a local admin rights or local admin privileges. Okay. Now, once he gets access to the device, and then he has complete control over the device, and let's say when that device comes inside the organization, right? User comes in and then he connects to your organization Wi-Fi or your network when he comes inside the office. So that means now he is inside the network. Now this is where hacker wants to move and then do a lateral movement. He wants to infect more and more machines because even if one machine goes down for him, he has many other machines where he can access and then do data theft. So for that, he has to start doing lateral movement and then compromise more and more machines. So for that, when the device is inside the network, he will start moving around and compromising more and more machines, and then he will create his own botnet network, which all these machines are actually communicating back to hacker's command and control center. Okay, so that he knows which machines are inside the network, which machines are active, and all this stuff. Ultimately, he is doing a target attack. Typically, a more target attack happens for a bank or a finance organization because they can actually steal a lot of customers' account information, credit card information, and make money out of it, right? So ultimately, it will start with identity, then gain access to device, and then moves laterally inside the network to do the data theft. So with Microsoft, we have solutions where when he tries to do an identity attack by using a phishing attack or any other attack, we have solutions which can actually stop an hacker from compromising your users, employees' identity, username and passwords. Let's assume you didn't have these solutions and he was able to compromise some identities. When he tries to gain access to your device, we have solutions which can actually stop an hacker from gaining access or installing or creating a botnet network on those devices, on those compromised devices. If he starts moving laterally inside a network, we have solutions which can actually detect how did he move from one machine to another machine. If he logged in to a server, at 1 a.m. in the night, why would somebody log in using a particular machine inside the network? Why would he log in at 1 a.m. in the night? It's a suspicious activity, right? So solutions like advanced threat analytics or Azure ATP can actually detect that it's a suspicious activity. I have never seen this particular laptop or a computer logging in to this particular server at 2 a.m. in the night. This is happening, and immediately these solutions will shoot an email to IT security or whoever you have configured in the system, notifying them that I'm seeing a suspicious activity, that somebody using this particular username and password has actually logged in to this server. Okay, and then if they have actually exfiltrated any kind of data, you can actually stop them immediately. Okay, so ultimately we will put a break for a hacker for doing identity compromises, device compromise, or even moving inside the network. Okay. Now, when attack happens, you know that this is how it happens, right? So, I've told you about how the attack happens. So, when a phishing attack has been sent to a user, usually it will be in the form of an attachment or a URL, right? And then the exploitation happens, and then something gets installed on the PC, and that PC will start communicating back to hacker's command and control center, and then the hacker wants to become more persistent inside your device, and then it starts doing privilege escalations, compromising your local admin accounts, and then he will start searching for the data. He will start doing recons, and then he will move laterally from one machine to another machine. Ultimately, he wants to gain access to your data. Okay, so these are the solutions which I just talked about. So this is a different angle or a different way of visualizing how an attack can happen, and what solutions can actually come in to protect these attacks. Okay. Now, we are almost towards the end of my session, but what we have is, this is where we have from Microsoft, we have an end-to-end protection right from online to endpoint and servers to identities and to your backup and disaster recovery. And what we also have is, like, based on the four pillars, what I spoke about, these are the solutions we have. And these are the solutions where we cover today. And we also do a lot of Microsoft services. We have our own consultants who actually does a lot of security consulting for a lot of these organizations. And these are some solutions where we integrate with. So today we don't have our own VPN solutions. We don't have appliances. And from a cybersecurity perspective, this is the only thing what Microsoft doesn't do today, the ones which are in highlighted. Apart from this, today you name a security solution, we have it with us. We have it with Microsoft. Okay, so that's the end of my session for today. I hope it was helpful. So if you have any questions, please feel free to use your messages, chat messages, and we'll try to answer them.